Ideal mesmo para o mundo atual seria fazer o ensino médio junto com o curso técnico, certo? É no Senac que o aluno tem autonomia de verdade, formação cidadã, foco na diversidade, preparação para o Enem, material didático sem taxas e muito mais. Na real, tem tudo que você precisa para se sentir preparado para a vida. Seja para entrar no mundo do trabalho ou te ajudar a decidir o que fazer na faculdade. Quer saber? Senac. Vem comigo! Acesse sp.senac.br/ensino-médio-técnico.
A Liberty Seguros agora é Yellow. Tudo aquilo que já era bom continua igual. Excelência e proximidade permanecem como nossa essência. Porque não é uma mudança, é uma evolução. A Yellow está sempre em sintonia com você. É liberdade com segurança. A melhor experiência acessível a todos os clientes, iluminando cada passo da sua jornada. Deixe essa luz iluminar seu caminho. Yellow Seguradora. Seguro para viver livre. Consulte seu corretor.
Today on CityCast Portland, we're welcoming back Brooke Jackson Glidden, Portland Monthly's editor-in-chief and previous editor of Eater Portland, to hear about some of the best new restaurants you need to try this season. From fish sauce bacon to farm fresh cider, she's got a list of where to taste some of the best dishes in Portland right now. It's Thursday, November 14th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Before we get into it, can you give us a sense of how our restaurant scene is doing right now? I feel like since we spoke to you last, we haven't really checked in. You were our lifeline.
I'm back, baby. Yeah, I think the same way that I went underground, things were like very quiet in terms of openings here, but then like really loud on the national stage. I think that all these pizza places are being recognized on national lists, you know, big top 50, the pizza critics in Italy kind of like evaluating pizza places here. And then, you know, places like Passar and Alpenrausch are on Bon Appetit's best new restaurant list. And, you know, there are a handful of Portland restaurants on the New York Times. So it's, you know, it's like everyone keeps talking about Portland. Meanwhile, Portland continues to do its thing of going like, yeah, I might release a really great restaurant, but I'm not going to make a whole thing out of it.
That's so us.
Yeah, I really think so.
I feel like as a city, we're just bad at promoting ourselves.
I think that that's part of the reason that, you know, like makes people want to cover us more. Like, are we negging the entire country by doing it this way? I don't know.
Did you wait for me to drink something?
I wanted you to do a spit take. I wanted you to ruin your microphone.
Oh my God, negging.
Yeah.
It could also just be that a certain editor left Eater, and I don't know. Well, let's get into your list. I will ask, though, that we filter it from casual to more formal, just so people know what to expect. You have maybe like 5 new places you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll start super casual. You know, and I think that if I'm being honest, this was like the most anticipated opening for me personally. I was so excited about this. Memoir Cafe is this collaborative Vietnamese-American breakfast shop. And it's from Richard Lay, who I think is probably best known for Mata, which is a food cart turned pop-up Vietnamese-American fast food with fish sauce kind of vibe. He partnered with Kim Dam, who owns Portland Cafe, which is a Vietnamese-American coffee shop, and Lisa Wen. So she owns Heyday Donuts, which is sort of like the springy donut company. They have a little spot off 82nd.
Yeah.
I think the three of them kind of got together to be this sort of like A-team, and they opened this little cafe on Alberta. I expected it to be really fun and was just really strong right off the bat. Personally, like my thing that I've been really obsessed with there is this pandan waffle that's like the Heyday donut kind of vibe, but like pressed. Like it's dense. It's not necessarily light and airy, but it has like this springiness that's really satisfying. And then Richard puts this thick slab of what he's calling fish sauce bacon. It's almost like, it's like pork belly that's like super, super unctuous with this like fish sauce caramel. And then putting like Thai chili maple syrup on that. So it's like kind of like a bacon waffle. It's like sweet and it's just so good. And like I think about it all the time. It's a really, really, really tasty dish.
Have you tried their cinnamon roll? Because that's the thing that pops up the most when I look at their Instagram, and it's like black sesame and then cinnamon, and it's, milk bread, cream cheese frosting, and then you can add Marionberry. It's like such an Oregon-based fusion,
Yes,
of
totally.
a breakfast food. I'm curious about that because I love cinnamon rolls.
Yeah. I mean, it is a commitment. It's like this bomb of like milk bready and like the sweetness. And if you do get it with the jam, it like mixes in with the black sesame. I had to take a nap. So I will say, in terms of maybe other stuff to get there, I'm a big savory breakfast person. So
same, yeah.
I think they have some really tasty stuff along those lines. They do like a breakfast burrito with that same bacon, and they make like a fun salsa and then their own Vietnamese hot sauce to go with it. So good. If you ever went to Mata had this like breakfast bowl that was like rice and like a fish saucy kind of gravy with egg and hash browns. And it's just like God tier hangover breakfast, I think is how I think about it. Again, this Kim Dam Vietnamese coffee. So like they have this salted cream topped iced coffee that like when that place opened, I was drinking it through our like extended summer, like it was, it's so good. So,
yeah. Well, before we move on, I also just want to shout out that the people who own that Portland Cafe, they're part of I think in my head, of Vietnamese legacy, because I think her parents or her family run House of Banh Mi, which is like so badass.
It's true.
Like these like generational families opening restaurants, either Thai or Vietnamese. You have Earl, his family had a restaurant before. Like it's just like these things that are like instilled in Portland. And I just love it.
Yeah, I think specifically thinking about like these Vietnamese American restaurateurs, there is this very specific kind of approach to Vietnamese food that has been really exciting in Portland recently. And I think it has a lot to do with this idea of like taking those traditions and those recipes from, your parents and putting your own voice into it. And so
yeah.
I don't know. To me, memoir is the exact quality of that. The name is specifically kind of like it's a memory of their parents, because the three of them connected mourning the deaths of, I believe it was all their fathers, who all died in the same month at different times, like different years. And I think they all sort of say and echo that this restaurant is really a tribute to them and what they taught them, even if they weren't in the restaurant world. It's an homage to the McDonald's breakfasts they gave them and the shrimp omelets they made them. It's a really beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the next spot that you want to shout out.
Totally, yeah. So on the other side of town, down in Southeast, this is another sort of like fixture in town. Nan, who owns Nora, if anyone's ever been there, she was one of the founders at Kati, but she's not there anymore. She had this desire to open a khao gang shop. So khao gang shops, if you're in Thailand, I think of them as almost like something between like a buffet and like a meat and pre or something, where basically you're like building combinations of like curries and stuff to like take home. It's like mainly takeout. And, it's almost like,
really?
Like if you go to like an Indian buffet, it's kind of like that, where you like have a bunch of different stuff you can pick and choose from to put on like one big plate or in like a couple of containers to take home. And so she was like, why isn't there a Thai version of this? So she opened this place, Paya, that is essentially, like a fast casual spot. You walk up, there's like a case, and it has this huge array of different curries and stir fries, all sorts of like different dishes that I've never seen, things like, deep fried eggs and various sort of sauces and curries. And you kind of build a combo plate. And when you get to the end, there's this little other separate case that has like fun little pastries and things, like the sticky rice or various sort of like banana leaf wrapped dumplings.
I love coconut sticky rice wrapped in banana leaves. It's one of my favorite, and they have it. So that's so cool.
Yeah. So, they have a ton of different things. And I think they kind of keep things moving. Like they switch things out and try different things, mix up the case. And when I've been in, it's not like a fancy thing. I think they do this with everybody. They'll let you taste stuff. You know what I mean? So if you're I don't know about that, and they'll be like, have a little taste of it, because they have all of that laid out before you. So I think it's a really fun place to be able to try stuff that you might not want to commit a full meal to. You can just get like a little taste of it.
So cool. Yeah, because it's so funny. There's a new Thai restaurant that opened in St. John's, and we've been going through the menu because I realized I'm like, oh yeah, what do I always get? I always get Tom Kha. I always get Pad See Ew. I always get the red curry. I always get this one thing, and I realized I didn't really know that much about it because I tried something new and I was like, well, that's amazing. I wish I would have known about this sooner. So that would be really cool. And also just shout out Bua of Siam, which is a Thai restaurant, very mom and pop shop that just opened up on Lombard, and they're so good. They're just like if a Thai mom was making you food.
Love that.
And that mom literally comes out and asks you how it was and if you're okay and you need anything else. And that's the feeling. It's so sweet.
I think that is kind of the energy that I love in a lot of different restaurants in Portland. I think that kind of level of hospitality, where it's not necessarily like service in the like fancy tasting menu-y kind of approach, but more just like that intimacy.
Yeah, totally.
I love that so much.
Okay, well, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, the most Portland AF cidery in existence. Well, what's the next one? I know it's just so you know, I also have this list. It's not like I'm getting surprised every time she says
like, whoa.
But I don't know any of these restaurants. The third one is Bauman's on Oak.
Yeah. So, okay. So Bauman's, right, is this cider company. It's based in the Mid-Valley, or it was at least. The founder, it comes from this long line of apple farmers, of farmers.
Oh, wow.
And she decided to create this cider brand. And it's like a really well-respected cider brand. It wins international awards and stuff. But like the food has never been like a big part of the experience necessarily. But they decided to create this like bigger space in Portland and move a lot of their production up there. And they were kind of like, I don't know, should we like have a food component? And kind of decided, okay, I guess, you know what I mean? We'll add a little food component. So basically, Christine Bauman Walter, she had been talking to this former Portland chef, or baker really, kind of asking him for advice. And he was basically like, I'll do your food for you. Now, this is a guy who was he was on the opening team at Cafe Oli. Like, this is someone who really knows his stuff. He was really passionate about cider and excited about cider and wanted to learn from her. So they came together to create this little cider tasting room. But the food is at this Cafe Oli kind of caliber. It's like really incredible, but super, super casual. So they have like a bread and butter plate. The bread is a sourdough. And it's not even just like, oh, it's his sourdough and they're using Oregon wheat. No. He is sourcing the water that he uses to hydrate the dough from like a specific natural spring in Corbett. Like, we're talking. Oh my God. This is like obsessive
This
stuff.
is fucking Portland right here. This
Right.
is like this is the most like, I wish there was like an audio bite that we could just hit and it'd just be like Portland as fuck. And it would just be this, what we're talking about right now.
Really, like we're getting water specifically. No, it's so wild. And it's really good bread. Like, if I could just buy this bread and keep it in my house, I would. And he serves it with like butter that he churned there. And it's like really fresh. Every specific bread, cracker, it's like multiple different types of bread. He's making all of it in house.
Wow.
And you'll get these little like rye-ish sort of like seedy kind of bready crackery things with smoked salmon. It was caught by Christine, so by the cider person in Alaska. She caught the actual fish and then she smoked it, and then it is on your little cracker for you to eat. Like, it's just this next level kind of backstory to every little bite. And you don't need to know any of that to be like, man, this food is really good. But it's like the simplest food done so extra. Like, he is ultimately doing too much, and like, that's fine.
That's the most extra. I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it. It really is like, we're doing too much. That is our menu. But then it's like bread and butter.
Right, exactly. So it doesn't feel pretentious. It's not like you're going to like a tweezery, like I'm getting a cider and I eat this tweezery thing. No, it's like a burger, or it's like ribs with Loganberry barbecue sauce or whatever. But it's so good. It's like so exceptionally good down to the crumb that comes from that level of meticulousness and obsessiveness and how everything is sourced or constructed.
Right. Well, sold. Next
Yeah.
one is Bar Loon.
Here is my real belief. And I said this in the beginning of the year. I wrote a piece about it for Eater, and it was like, maybe it was too early to call it, but no, I was 100% right. This is a year for bars. Like, more than it's like a great restaurant year, the best restaurants of the year are bars. And Bar Loon comes from the folks from Bellwether. If anyone's ever been to Bellwether, it's this, really lovely neighborhood bar in Tabor. Again, like, the food is so much better than anyone kind of expects it to be. And Bellwether hit Portland Monthly's best restaurant list this year. And I think that Bar Loon was this closer in counterpart that took over the Sweet Hereafter space. It hasn't had nearly the same level of fanfare, but that was true of Bellwether too. Bellwether was open for years and it kind of was slept on. And that really seems to be the case here as well, where I think that the food is so special and simple, similar to Bauman's in a different way. You'll just have like very snacky plates of stuff, or like, here is a roast chicken, or here is a little plate with pickles and like copa. But it's just the execution that's really special.
Since I've never heard of these places, when you shout them out, I look at their Instagram, and Bar Loon has some of the most beautifully photographed food I've seen come from a bar. Like, there's the most perfectly roasted chicken with like herbs and romesco, and there's these shrimp that are just like, I want to eat them so bad. It's just like with sauce verte and like, it's gorgeous. It's just absolutely gorgeous food.
I think that you will similarly be able to eat like really knockout delicious like fried artichokes, eating with your hands and dunking in a sauce like just as easily here. I think they have really good fries. I do really love those fried artichokes. I think they have, I'm a big artichoke kid. I really love, they're super like almost custardy on the inside. You have a nice sort of almost like salt and vinegar potato chip kind of flavor to the outside. It's like really tasty. And I always get like a different sort of set of vegetables. I always feel like they have a nice sort of like assortment there, and they change. And if they're still doing it, they have this copa plate, and the copa is super, super thinly sliced, and it comes with this like little pickled salad and like, again, like little bread bites. And so it looks very pretty, but it eats kind of like a really good Italian sub. So good.
This looks amazing. It looks like a deconstructed sandwich.
Yes.
It looks awesome. I would eat that right now.
It's so great. And, they have like little like tiny cocktails. I remember it's like a place where if you're a martini head, like it's really nice to have like a martini there and like eat a bunch of little snacky things. I could do that any night of the week.
That's right up my alley. Well, let's go to the last of your top 5 of the best new restaurant openings.
Yeah.
And this one is Fallows Rest Wild.
Yes.
Am I saying that right? Fallows Rest Wild?
I think so. This place, it's not the kind of restaurant that I am immediately going to be like sold. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's dairy free and gluten free and soy free and, blah, 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 blah. And I think that to me always makes me kind of like tense up. I'm like, oh, I don't know. When it's like every allergy is accommodated, which, that's my own bias maybe, because the food is really great here. I think the service is really nice. You have like a real energy in the room that is really special. I think it's become an absolute like neighborhood favorite. And the neighborhood in question, I should say, is the Moreland kind of region.
Yeah, it's like in deep southeast Milwaukee
Right.
street. And you don't hear about a lot of restaurants coming out of Westmoreland.
Yeah. And this is one of those things that's like such a neighborhood spot, because Bastion, which is also in Westmoreland, it's the same people. And again, one of these sorts of cafes, it's something that was not on my radar because, again, it's like I glazed over based on all the dietary stuff. But the same way Con doesn't eat that way, like the food here is just straight up delicious. It feels like a really special kind of like date nighty place. On a recent visit, they had this like charred squash thing that had like a combo of chili crisp and something that, it couldn't have been yogurt, but it ate kind of like yogurt with like a ton of herbs in it. Really, really tasty. And then, I love a braised chicken, and they did it in this like sumac scented coconut milk.
Ooh,
and
I love sumac.
So good. So good. Really hyper seasonal as well. I think that there's like some regenerative farmer connection to the ownership team here.
Yeah, all the pictures look like they're like out in a farm cooking. And I know this is an actual restaurant that is indoors, so that speaks volumes to, how they're trying to present themselves. And I will also say that nowhere in their socials are they at all saying that they are like allergy free. So I don't know where you got that.
Who knows? Maybe they abandoned it all. Maybe they were just like, you know what?
Oh, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to come here.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I know you very quickly wanted to mention 2 honorable mentions, and we just got to do it real quick.
Totally. Okay. Speed running it. Bark City Barbecue reopened. If anyone, my barbecue heads out here might remember this place. It was a cart that had like really knockout Texas style brisket, kind of in that like peak Portland barbecue period. But this place came back. They opened on Woodstock. Really great barbecue. I love their turkey, actually, which is, I think a lot of people are like, you're getting turkey at a barbecue place, but it's like buttery and delicious. Really, really solid stuff.
I love turkey. Yeah.
Other one is Bar Nina. You mentioned wine bars. This is the space that used to be Le Cave. It is now, it was always owned by...
Le Cave went away?
Yeah, but only kind of. So basically, Le Cave was always run.
This is how I learn that Le Cave closed and something new opened. See, Brooke, this is why we need you.
I'm back, baby.
So what happened? Well,
Yeah.
Same owners?
Same owners, sort of, yeah. Basically, the people who owned Le Cave were the people behind the wine label Ovum. For people who really like Big Salt, that wine that you can find at like New Seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have always kind of owned this place, but it was run by Jeff Veer, who's now over at L'Orange, right? So basically, he kind of like left that project and it became the Ovum people's space a little bit more explicitly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that did it a real service. And it behaves almost like an Ovum tasting room. So you can taste things that are like not stuff that you're going to find in a bottle shop, like really kind of random reserve stuff. One of the owners of Ovum also has a wine distribution label, I believe. And so you also will get like really cool, hard to find stuff from like Portugal that like, again, you're not going to find anywhere else. So you still have the bar, like the Le Cave feel at Bar Nina, but you're getting a lot of really cool wines, and you're also getting some cool stuff from Ovum for people who are really into Ovum specifically.
Yeah. Is that Nook still available to sit in?
Still get the Nook.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay. Well, very quickly.
Yes.
Are there any places that you are excited about that are about to open? And I was hoping that what I'm going to do is I'm going to time you. And you are going to tell me.
Okay.
No,
I'm ready.
This is going to be fun. This is going to be so much fun. Okay. So I'm going to time you. I'm going to do a stopwatch. You're going to have, is 30 seconds? I feel like 30 seconds is like not enough.
No, I can do it. I can do it.
All right. 30 seconds. You're going to tell me around when it's opening, where it is, and like why you're excited that it's about to open. Is that cool?
Okay. I have 3. So I get 30 seconds for each.
You're going to get 30 seconds for each. All right. Here we go. All right. So this one, you're talking about Fancy Baby, which is a wine bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Start.
Okay, so, this was a place I hadn't heard of. Jordan Michelman wrote about it for Portland Monthly, and it was really kind of a compelling argument for it. It's from the people who own Cru and Domaine, really, really special wine bottle shop. This is supposed to be kind of something between like a record bar and like a French wine bar with a lot of champagne and food from the people at Long Bon. Really excited about this one.
And done. Great. Nice
Look at me
job.
go.
Okay, next one. I don't know how to say this. Is Olini?
It's Olini, yes.
Okay, so Olini, it's a bakery cafe. Where is it going to open? And tell me about it. Go.
Okay, so Olini is from the people behind Cafe Oli. Anyone who's tried to like get a pastry at Cafe Oli on a Saturday knows it sucks because you're in the brunch mess. This is going to make it so you can kind of just like get a pastry or a sandwich or like something specifically in that world from a cafe right next door. I'm really excited about it. Bagel pop-ups on the days that they're not open. I'm like, just
6,
as
7,
a pastry
8,
fiend, I'm excited
9.
about this one.
Done. All right. Okay. Next. So this is the last one that you're excited about.
These are not scripted. Okay.
Okay. They're not. All right. I feel like we should just do one entirely like this.
Just 30-second quick bites.
Dude, is this our new podcast? 30-second quick bites?
Put me on.
Let's go. Okay. Reset here. Okay. This one's Yums brand new pizza place. Tell me where it's going to open and what you like about it. Go.
Okay, so coming to Southeast-ish, this is from a New York pizza maker who started in her apartment, ended up in the New York Times on like talk shows, and essentially moved here and is opening this like very sweet pizza place. Really kind of creative and interesting pizzas with bizarro toppings, but also with a real sort of like Neapolitan-ish approach. Interested to see how it goes.
Great.
Okay, I was like 1 second over.
Perfect. You know what we should do is we do need like a 10, 9, 8, 7, and I'm not. So I feel like we'll do this again, and I'll make sure that we do that. Well, I want to tell you real quickly, I'm going to do it myself, of a new spot that I'm excited. It's going to open sometime in like mid-November. Here we go. It's called Living Room Wines. It's opening on Lombard. I'm super excited about it because we don't have many third spaces out here. It's like going to be in University Park. So that area is going to finally have a really great wine bar. The reason I'm super excited about is because it's opened by my friend Fabrizio, and he used to work at 45th Parallel, where he just was one of the most amazing like wine tenders. I don't even know if that's a word, but he's so sweet. He knows so much about wine. He's opening it up with his partner, and they're going to have small bites. It's going to be awesome. That's it.
That sounds so lovely. I really do think that this is like the year of the bar, baby.
It really is.
I'm calling it the year of the bar.
Okay. At the end of 2024, it's like 2 mons left. You're like, it's the year of the bar.
I said it was the year of the bar earlier. When I was an eater, I wrote a whole piece about it. Anyway, so I'm giving up. Oh, yes. So I don't know what I was saying. Claudia.
I'm going to wrap it up.
You wrap it up. Please edit this out.
Well, Brooke, thank you so much for coming back. It's always a pleasure to have you. I especially love the Brooke Quick Bites. I think that's canon now. I think that's what we're doing from now on. It's awesome.
I have to learn to edit, which is really kind of silly as an editor-in-chief.
Because you're the editor-in-chief of Portland Monthly.
That is true.
And now for some events happening this week. Every Thursday on the show, we like to bring you a few recommendations to help you plan your weekend. Here's what we got. Starting this Friday, the Hollywood Theater is hosting the Q-Doc Film Festival all weekend long. For 20 years, the Portland Queer Documentary Film Festival has been celebrating LGBTQ+ stories and filmmakers. Opening night has a double feature and a live performance. Also, there are still tickets available to this Friday and Saturday's Brew Lights Festival at the Oregon Zoo. If you haven't been, it's one of the zoo's only 21 and over events that boasts approximately 1 gajillion local breweries pouring out samples. And the entire zoo is covered in Christmas lights. So pure magic. One more here for you. The downtown Portland Winter Ice Rink opens up for the season on Saturday. Tickets include skate rentals. And while you're down there, you can go to Huber's and warm up with a Spanish coffee. Trust me, you won't regret it. Of course, this isn't the only stuff that's happening this weekend. For even more events, sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Portland, or go check out our website, portland.citycast.fm/events. We'll throw a link in the show notes. Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.